What is it like being a Jamaican in Gambia? Hi, I'm Xavier Murphy, the founder of Jamaicans.com, and today in Jamaicans to the World, I talk to Karla Ashley, a Jamaican living in Gambia. Welcome, Karla. How are you?
I'm great, Xavier. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you.
So, which part of Jamaica you come from?
I come from Macon, Clarendon.
Wow, a lot of Clarendonians. I've interviewed a lot of Clarendonians.
Are you
So,
serious?
yes, yes. I know you had migrated at some point. Did you go to high school in Jamaica?
No, I left Jamaica initially when I was just before my seventh birthday,
Okay,
but I had lived in Jamaica as an adult later on in life, so I missed out the schooling aspect, but I worked in Jamaica.
okay, all right. So that fraternity, is one of the things that
No.
but I'm sure you know it. I'm sure you know about it. You lived in Jamaica, and so you know how that is.
Yes,
No.
my siblings went to school in Jamaica. They were in Denby, and I can see how that fraternity is. I'm noticed.
and and so tell us about your journey and how you got to Gambia.
I grew up partially in the UK, and I moved back to Jamaica for a while. And I've always had this interest in Africa because I went there as a teenager, and when I was in Jamaica, I got kind of closer to the Rastafari culture, and I just really wanted to go to Africa. And so I went back to England for a while, and in 2019, I thought, I need to prepare for that move. And in 2020, I made that move to Gambia.
And may I ask why Gambia?
Well, when I was a teenager, I went to Senegal, and I fell in love with Senegal. It was a school exchange trip, and we actually lived in a Senegalese household for 2 weeks. And a lot of my school friends came. We had different backgrounds: Chinese, Indian, Nigerian, and it was an amazing cultural exchange. Senegalese is French, and Gambia is located in the middle of Senegal. So when I looked to come back to the continent, I thought that would be a perfect choice, being that it's the same culture, it's just kind of the same people, but they are English speakers.
I love your channel, African Repat, and I know it has helped you. Tell us a little bit about the channel and how that channel has helped you in your transition to Gambia.
Okay, I think I started my channel in 2020, and the handle for it is www.com, youtube.com/African Repat. And basically, I've worked in publicity a lot of my career, and I was always in the background. I enjoyed putting others in the spotlight, and I was very reluctant to be on camera or anything like that. And my friends kept encouraging me to do that, and finally reached a point that I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And I decided to use YouTube to document my journey as a repat going to Africa. And so I started in the UK, where I was at the time. And what YouTube allowed me to do was to develop a group, as it were, a following that would enable me not to feel like a solo traveler, but it would be like I'm not going alone to the continent. And it also allowed me to connect with people who were already on the continent, living on the continent, Gambians. So when I arrived here, I slowly grew that subscription, that audience base, and people would recognize me on the streets and in restaurants and places, and I made friends out of that, and that
So
was nice. And
you became
sorry.
famous before you became famous before you even got to Gambia.
I wouldn't say famous, but recognized. I became
Okay,
recognized. And it helped a lot. It helped a lot.
good. And have you met a lot of the people that you engaged with on YouTube?
Um, a lot, yes. Also, there were many people following my repatriation journey who wanted to make that journey themselves. And based on the activities I was doing, when I was flying, everything I was doing, they followed me as well to Gambia. So, um, yeah, so people were taking action based on my journey and on what they saw me
Nice.
doing.
That's
People were
very
even
nice.
I provide information like how to open a bank account and things like that as well. So people overseas who are planning to make their journey even open bank accounts online and did a lot of things. I mean, it's been interesting.
So, folks, you got to check out the African Repat channel that Karla runs. Basic information, some great information is there. I watched a couple of the videos and really, really good stuff. Really good stuff. And
Thank you so much.
you mentioned the people. What are the people in Gambia like?
To some extent, they are a lot like Jamaicans, but more calm. They adore Jamaicans. I'd say there is a lot of Jamaican influence in the Gambia, but when you listen to the origins and the music that they have, like they listen to a lot of, they have their own indigenous like Gambian music, and they listen to a lot of Senegalese music. And when you listen to African music, you hear a lot of where reggae originated from. So there's a big exchange, I think.
And when you say you come from Jamaica, what is the typical response or the questions you get?
Oh my gosh. The typical response is, "Oh my gosh, Jamaica, really?" Um, and then, "I wish I could go Jamaica." I love reggae. I love this. I love that, and they know Jamaican culture better than we do.
Really?
Yes, I think they call this the little Jamaica.
They call Gambia Little Jamaica?
Yeah, but
Oh,
they're
really?
a little bit bigger than us. Yeah, they're a little
Okay.
bit bigger than us. In fact, they listen to more reggae in Gambia than we listen to reggae in Jamaica.
Oh, that is very interesting. So you're hearing your typical all your reggae artists on the radio, cars passing by.
all the time, and they're very good imitators of patois. I can't even say they're imitating. They speak patois here.
This is all news. I mean, this is interesting.
They're
So
not even imitating. They know patois.
it sounds like Gambians have a love affair with Jamaica. Tell me more.
I'm telling you, it's amazing how much affection Gambians have for Jamaicans. In most countries where you go, you have a fee that foreigners pay and a fee that locals pay. You normally get more charged and more expensive as a foreigner. And I remember all across the continent, probably the Caribbean a lot as well. Um,
Yes.
but I remember going into a taxi. I was trying to catch a taxi to go home, and he was charging a fee that I knew was more expensive, and I said, "No, man, cut it down to $50 here." And he was like, "No, man." And we had this little argument, and I acted like I was gonna walk away, and then he lowered the price, and I got into the taxi, and then he started playing some reggae music. And I said, "Look how you're playing the reggae music now, and look how you was treating me, a Jamaican." And he goes, "What, you're a Jamaican?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "A Jamaican?" And I said, "Man, you don't love me, man. You don't love me." And he said, "Yeah, man, I love Jamaicans, man. I love you." And I said, "Okay, then, if you really love me, so then and you're not gonna charge me no extra. He said, "Me not gonna charge you no extra, man. Me not gonna charge you no extra." And he brought me home. There's
So
a lot of love for Jamaicans here. It's unbelievable.
wow. So the Jamaican discount is there.
Yeah, and there's some ways about Jamaicans. Like you can have an argument with a Jamaican you never met, and in that moment you make up afterwards and you become the best of friends. They're like that as well. You can have that experience with Gambians as well. It's beautiful.
Let me ask you this. Do you see some of the facial recognition? I remember on a visit to Nigeria, I was, there just not hearing what the people were saying, but just the mannerism in the way they were having a discussion. Even in Ghana, I was kind of saying to myself, I don't have to hear what they're saying. That's just how we would have that particular discussion with the hands and so forth. Have you encountered that?
Some of that, but also just studying a situation and body language in general. And yeah, I've had very interesting experiences with that. Going places, and when you know the price of things and they can't get around you, and they're explaining it to their friends in their language, and you know exactly what they're talking about. I find that hilarious. I love it. But as you were saying as well, you said facial recognition. Like I was interpreting it different, and in terms of looking like us, um, there are moments you see people and they look just like somebody you know in Jamaica, and that I love that. And
Wow.
it's not just their face, but I literally saw a guy. I walked past me. He looked just like my neighbor in Jamaica. His face, the body language, the way his body shaped, and the way he walked, and it just amazes me.
No, I'm going to do the flip side. Your Gambian friends, have they seen like this expression or this thing that you use and they're like, oh, that's pretty interesting? Or they tease you about something? Is there something kind of Jamaican? I'm sure we're not the only ones that do, with our lips to say, look at that, or but maybe there's something you have done
I
that you're
tell
like,
you,
go
I
ahead.
tell you, I tell you what surprises Gambians. Gambians are quite reserved. So they go to some of our parties sometimes, or when we turn up in their establishment, sometimes we're a bit louder and more, there's music playing and we break out dancing or whatever. They're not so forward like we are. They're more reserved people. So when they see us doing those things, they laugh. They're so amused. They're very much entertained by us, basically.
I said my new term is not that we're loud or we're just braggadocious, but we bring the energy.
Too much. Wally.
and I'm sure they're loving it there.
They just watch us and they laugh. They love it.
and and what about food? Talk to me about the food there.
They have their own food. Now, West Africa is known for jollof rice. So Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, all these West African countries have jollof rice. That's the biggest thing that they share amongst themselves, and they kind of compete as to who has the best jollof rice. And
So
it's an
so
argument that you wouldn't want to get into.
so let me ask you this. If there's a dish that you would recommend that I
Mm,
try if I come to Gambia, what would that dish be?
Benachin.
And what is Benachin? What is Benachin?
Okay, so you have your jollof rice, and you can have a choice of meat. You could have beef, chicken, fish, probably even shrimp Benachin. It's quite spicy. Yeah, and it has some amount of vegetables in it, but it's mainly rice dishes. Rice is the staple diet here.
Okay. Like Jamaica, we have everything with rice. Even I'm hearing some people having rice for breakfast. So hey.
We eat dinner for breakfast all the time.
And how do you manage with your Jamaican food? Is there like a Jamaican restaurant? Is there your friends from the UK or Jamaica sending you? How do you get your fix?
So we have now about 6 Jamaican restaurants that I'm aware of. A lot of Jamaicans move here, Jamaicans who are living in the UK, and a few Jamaicans straight from yard have come here as well. So about 6 Jamaican restaurants. It's not the same as Jamaican food back home, but it's good enough, you know? It's close
Wow.
enough.
I mean, I am learning so much about Gambia. They love the music, they love the culture, they talk the patois, and 6 Jamaican restaurants. Oh, it looks like a place we should be exploring.
and this and they're small. It's a small country.
It,
Yes. A lot of the artists in Jamaica come here. Busy Signal, Mavado, Sizzla, I think, has been here. A lot of the artists come here. I think Spice was here as well. And Popcorn is coming January. So
okay.
there's a big music exchange. The artists always come here.
Wow. Did not know this. I mean,
Yeah.
folks, it looks like we will be feeling at home if we get to Gambia. The only okay, so
Mm.
anybody selling patty, because that is one of the most popular things. You feel like home if you can get a good patty.
I have I have tried 2 places that sell patty. One of them consistently, and the other one is I love their patty, but they don't make it too often. Maybe it's coming back to their menu soon, but I really enjoy their patty.
Okay. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the lay of the land, the landscape. Are there any historical buildings?
Oh.
I know for Senegal and Ghana, there are the the buildings where they brought enslaved people, and those castles and so forth. Tell us, a
Mm.
little bit about any of the historical buildings and history that you may know of there.
Okay, so slave trade was huge in Gambia. But this Gambia is home to Punta Kente. I think that's the biggest thing. Um, Kunta Kente is like one of the biggest historic, names in slavery, and he's from
Wow.
the tribe, the Mandinka tribe, and they're
Uh-huh.
very proud. They say I come from the tribe of Kunta, Kunta Kente. It's amazing, and I've been to the area he's from, Jufure, and I've been to the place where he was held captive, and it was not as emotional as the slave as the place I went in Gore, Senegal, but it was an interesting experience. I think yeah, it was very powerful, but I mean, what bigger
What,
figure in history can
right.
Kunta was
Everyone knows Kunta Kinte.
roots, roots. This was the original Back to Africa movement with Roots, the Roots Festival, and all of that. A lot of people
Right.
don't remember that.
So let me ask you this question. Have you gone and researched your ancestry?
I've thought about it, but haven't as yet. There's some things I've been told, but I don't know if it's factual. My father told me that I had some roots in Nigeria, Igbo tribe, and my mother said she was Maroon of Ashanti, Ghana. So I don't know how factual all of this is. I'm still considering whether or not to do my DNA test.
Okay. Yeah, I've done mine, and
What did
and
yours
so
say?
Ghana, Benin, and then Nigeria. Um,
Wow.
but the one I did was the African DNA ancestry, which is a little different than
Right.
ancestry.com and the others. This one basically says, you know, here is where you're from, you know. So that it's
Right.
very interesting, and I wasn't going to
Right.
come to the continent. I wasn't going to come to the continent without doing that test first, you know.
Right.
So it was very, very interesting for me to do it because I'm like, hey, no, I basically can say I'm from the Ewe people, which are
Wow.
in Benin, Ghana, and then I can say I'm
Wow.
from the Mafa people, which are in North Cameroon and East Nigeria. So,
Wow. So you felt that was very empowering. You recommend that people do this?
oh, it's quite empowering, quite
Wow.
empowering. The conversations you have with people when I came to Ghana and I went to Nigeria, it's a different conversation. I don't just say I'm
Wow.
from Jamaica. I say my
Mm,
ancestors are from specific places.
that's
But this is
amazing.
not about me. This is about you. So let's continue talking about let's let's continue talking about your experience there. You know, you talked about the music scene, you talked about the food and historical sites. What do you really enjoy doing there in Gambia? What do you love? Absolutely say, listen, top. This is my top thing about why I moved here, why I loved it here.
Man, there are some times when I zone out and I feel like I'm in Jamaica. I love that about it. I love when I visit the village outside of the city, and it's so, the culture is, the traditions are so old. It feels like biblical times in the sense that people will just open up their homes to you, welcome you in. They don't even know you. They will feed you. They will not. Gambians, and you probably experienced this if you've been to Ghana and other places, but people here, they don't like to eat alone. They believe in sharing. Um, they, you know, imagine you go to someone's home, you don't know them, and they will offer you their bed. I mean, that to me is
Wow.
fascinating. That I love
Wow.
going outside of the city and to the province where, you know, real culture, real tradition exists.
Nice. And what's the temperatures like? Is it hot all the time, or is there a time when it's kind of, you know, comfortable, then you get hot, you know?
I'd say very hot most of the
Okay,
time. Now that it's near Christmas, it's a little cooler, probably cooler like Jamaica.
right.
Um, but this
Christmas
is the
breeze.
sub.
You get a
Yeah,
little Christmas breeze.
a little at night, at night. But this is the sub-Sahara. This is desert climate, pretty much.
Okay, I
Yeah.
see. And and cost of living. What's the cost of living there like?
Right. Not as expensive as Jamaica. Um, I found that the thing that I found a bit expensive, which surprised me, was um, vegetables and fruits. Because you get a lot of imports, they're not as aggressive with agriculture here as we are back home. Um, and I would love to see them do more of that because they import a lot and the imports are expensive. And yeah, I wish those things weren't so costly, but in terms of accommodation, that's not as expensive, but it has been climbing quickly in price because a lot of people
Mm.
are migrating here very fast and buying
And
up land and buying up everything.
is it
Um,
the migration? Is it mainly, you know, as you said, African repats, or is it just a mixture of different people moving back and And another part to that question is, what do you think is driving people moving there?
Okay, so there are a lot of African Americans moving there, Caribbeans. I've met people from Grenada, people from Trinidad, people from Haiti, everyone. I mean, you have Lebanese moving here, white English. You have everything here. I think what's driving that is, um, global crisis, opportunity, because there's a lot of investment opportunity on the continent right now. It's the next boom as well. You have to factor that in because um, with everything growing, escalating in price, if you buy something here, it's going to be worth double the amount in the next year. So there's a lot. Investment is definitely a part because now we're seeing the highway. I mean, within 3 months, you're seeing entire new buildings being erected on the highway, multi-story buildings within 3 months. I mean, it's quick, the kind of development I'm seeing. And yeah, and Gambia is not as developed as other countries, so that it has even more opportunity.
Isn't there a port there in Gambia, a popular port right there at the, because you're kind of at the you're on the west. But isn't there a huge port somewhere there, or no? Or you're landlocked? You're not landlocked.
No, we have a coast. So let me see. We're in the middle of Senegal, but we are coastal.
Right, right. I looked at the map, and if I remember correctly, there is a coastline there, but it seemed like, and I'm trying to describe it, it's almost like there's a port and the sea kind of comes in or something to that extent. Really interesting location. So I don't know if that plays a role from an economic perspective, that there's a huge enough port area that allows, for import export, or it's a entryway in.
Right. Well, let me see. How can I describe this? We import export is tough on the continent.
Okay.
In terms of it's very expensive. Um, even freight is very expensive. When you think about especially with my experience being in the UK, and we know that if we order something from China, we're gonna pay like 20 US for that, or 20 pounds. The equivalent to Africa, you'd be paying double. But there is a lot of trade going on, and we don't just rely on our port to bring things in. We have Senegal as well, and that's a drive away. So yeah, I mean that is access. I could say that's access.
Okay. So I'm gonna back up a little bit. You mentioned English is popularly spoken there, but
Yes,
there probably are a couple languages there. And
more.
how many have you encountered there, or how many you know of languages?
I guess every tribe has a language, and I've encountered probably 6 tribes. Um, we have Mandinka, we have Jolo, no, Jola, we have Fula, we have Seri, we have uh, Manjengo. There's so many tribes here, and each one has their own language. So, yeah.
And is there a dominant, the next dominant language after English? What would that one be?
So there are two dominant ones. There's Mandinka and Wolof.
Okay. Have you tried learning any of them?
Only a few words in them,
All right.
such
All right.
as oh, Islam is big here. Islam is the dominant religion as well. So
Okay.
there's some words you say in Islam. So in greeting, you use Islamic words for greetings.
I see. So it's assalamu alaikum.
Right. Every time you get into a taxi, every time you meet someone, you say Assalamu alaikum, and yeah, and they say alaikum salam.
All right. we're gonna get into languages a little later, as when we wrap up. So we talked a little bit about
Don't
foods.
shame me up. Right.
we, we talked a little bit about foods, and are you getting your fruits there? You said they don't grow a lot there, but you're getting your mango, you're getting all the other fruits from
Oh,
Jamaica you miss.
right. Mango season is crazy here. This is Mother Africa, so the variety they have here is enormous. And mango season, they love mango season here. I've seen mangoes the size of, oh my gosh, like how big? Mangoes like this huge. I mean, the size of
My head,
more like a huge,
the size of my head.
probably or bigger. And that shocked me. They have it's a different thing when it comes to fruits here. They'll have several varieties of things. Like we have coconut, but
Right.
they'll have coconut and two other things that look like coconut, but
Oh
are not.
wow. Oh wow.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
All right.
Hmm.
So Karla, listen, thank you for sharing all of this information on Gambia. And I know I went into some other areas. Couple more things I wanted to explore. Customs. Is there a
Right.
custom there that when you got there, you're like, this is an interesting custom? It could be the way they do weddings. It could be just how they greet you every morning. It could be anything. But is there a custom that you found very interesting when you got there?
Many customs I found very interesting. Um, the use of something called cola nuts. You probably encountered this in Nigeria, but cola nuts are given as a mark of respect when you try to purchase land or do transactions like that or weddings. You bring cola nut um, as a gift. Um, that was really interesting. I kept seeing cola nuts everywhere, and people casually eat it during the
Mhm.
day as well. So I didn't understand what this cola nut was. And then I
Mm,
realized we use it in Jamaica as well, but it's a different name.
I see.
You
And
know what I'm talking about?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Shall I tell you what cola nut is?
Yes.
Cola nut is busy.
Okay. Yes, I know busy.
Yes, yes.
And
Big
they
thing here.
wow. Wow.
But it was an
And
older Jamaican that told me what it was because I don't normally see it in the nut form. I see it in the powder form.
right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Old time
yes.
old time Jamaicans,
Mm.
if you get a cut, them put some busy on the cut, and I think it makes it worse, but let me not commit blasphemy here. Because
Yeah.
I had one put on a cut and it made it worse
Mm.
in my opinion. But
Wow.
but
It's
what do
such
they
a
do?
big thing here.
But what do
They'll
they
just
do? Do
eat
they
it
get
raw.
seeds? But they
They eat
bring
it
it to
raw.
you as a gift, just
Mm.
as a custom. So if you got a new house, you're saying people will just bring you cola nuts as a
No,
gift.
more in the sense of a transaction. Like like you're going to marry. A man's going to marry someone's daughter. He'll bring some cola nuts to the parents, um, or if he's going to buy some land, he'll bring cola nuts. In the business
Mm,
transaction as a mark of respect.
okay, very
Mm.
interesting.
It's
So
it's in Nigeria as well. It's a big. I don't know if it's the whole of Africa, but the West is
right,
huge. Yeah.
okay. No, I know, and busy is something we don't look at that way in Jamaica, but it
Right.
is important in West Africa.
Yes. Yes. Mm.
So thanks again, Karla. As I said, winding down was a good conversation. Let me ask you this: you land. It's a scenario. You land in Jamaica,
Mm.
get off the plane. What's that first thing you're doing?
Oh my God. Can't be one thing.
All right, give us two things.
Man, I miss my Helsha Beach garlic lobster. I miss food is a big thing for me. I miss my Sunday brunch at Terra Nova. I miss, I miss family. I miss. There's so many things, man. I want to hug Jamaica.
So, but what's the first thing you're doing? You get off the plane. Is it you're headed straight for where when you get off the plane?
Juicy patty next door.
Okay. All right.
You know that Juicy Patty is at the airport, Xavier.
Yes. Yes.
You know that's the first thing.
There's one question I forgot to ask, and it's this one. If there's one event or one attraction or one thing you must do or see when you come to Gambia, what would that be?
Ooh. Just
Didn't mean that
it's
stumping, you know. It sounds like
it's
there's so much. It sounds like
yeah,
it's a lot,
it's a tough
you
thing,
know.
but
What
I'd
would you
say
do? What would you do then? What, you know, you've seen it and you're like, this is what I, and it doesn't have to be touristy. You could say, hey, go to a village, maybe you say go have coffee. Yeah, I don't know. You know, what do you would say this is a great experience?
oh my God. I'd say there are many. There are many. But I'd say go to get outside of the city, go to the province, meet with villagers, experience that conversation, and experience the hospitality.
Okay. All right. So now here is where I'm going to put you on the spot again.
Oh Lord.
You ready for it?
I don't know.
Well, no, that let's wait a little bit because you're an expert on Gambia. What is your number one tip for anyone thinking of moving there?
Anyone thinking of moving to Gambia? Um, you don't come to Africa or well, most of Africa looking for employment. You come as an entrepreneur. And I think Jamaicans in general are really good entrepreneurs. So I think they will do well in Africa and in the Gambia. Um, I'd say do your research. Try to initiate some contacts with Gambians before you get here. That's what I did. You can meet them on business platforms and social media. And then I think Jamaicans are good at studying people, so they'll understand what this person is like from just the interaction. And a lot can be learned that way, and I learned a lot that way. Um, do your research, basically.
All right. Good advice, some good tips. So now I'm gonna put you on the spot now. So how do Gambians say in the most unofficial way goodbye? You know, Jamaicans say, boy, catch you later, a little more. You know, what's the slang? What's the most unofficial way of saying goodbye?
Oh, that's so hard. I don't know. Let me see. Is
And if
there?
you can't think of the unofficial, we'll do the official way in whatever language you've you know studied or studying.
Oh my gosh, that's hard. To be honest, they look for opportunities to say things the way Jamaicans say it a lot of the times. Um,
Really?
yeah, if I say a Jamaican way of, like later, they'll love
Right.
it. Yeah, they'll love it.
So they're more formal, is what you're saying.
I I'd say informal in the sense of the Jamaican words they use.
Right.
They'll use a lot of English words to say goodbye as well. Um, I'm trying to think of a. a Wolof word for goodbye. I can't think of any.
You're
More
good.
the greeting. It's more the greeting that's in the language.
All right. So
Yeah.
teach me a greeting, and we'll use that as our bye bye.
Okay. Nanga Def. Is like, how are you?
Nanga def.
Nanga Def. And the response is Magnifique. Magnifique.
Okay. Nanga def.
Magnifique.
Thank you, Karla, for providing such great information. Thank you
Thank you
again.
for having me.
And
It's been a pleasure.
Nanga def.
Magnifique.
Show some love now. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss a video.